Good evening.
Your repurposed freighter drifts through space.
25
As you
wolf.
stare
Wow,
out at the
awesome.
star-flecked void,
Very cool.
another ship comes in. Wait, is this sci-fi? I thought we agreed on a World War II campaign. Oh, did we? That's cool. I can pivot. The smell of smoke curdles in your nostrils. Hold up, I thought we were prepping for a zombie apocalypse campaign. All right, here's what we're doing. It's the year 3700. Humanity's elite fled to other planets long ago, taking with them all forms of advanced technology. Earth survivors scrape by with historic tools as weird phenomena plague abandoned nuclear sites. Witnesses report seeing glowing lights and the dead rising from their graves. And amidst the chaos, 3 strangers will meet in a dim bar. A veteran zombie slayer, a disgraced general out for revenge, and a space mercenary sent to investigate the power plants. Now describe your characters. How did you do that? I have the right tools for the job.
Good evening. Cool, Grim. Thank you. Hey, Sparky. Hey, Longshot. A legend on a literal legend on tonight. A lot of people don't know this person because he really is not out there in the. You'd only know if you went to Gary Con. Let me put it that way, or you're a member of his groups. So, yeah.
A story once spoken is ageless. The dungeon imagined without end. The curious are the ones most courageous. The tree that endures has to bend. From stillness the mad mage is stirring. From countless voices the castle takes shape. Zagig will test the enduring. Those unlucky will never escape.
Hello.
Hey, I made this happen.
Yeah, good.
Whew. And then, thanks, man. A true legend on the night. Alrighty. I told him 6:55.
Hmm?
I told him 6:55, so yeah.
That works.
Yep. Figured that would work. darling. Where is it? And you know him, he'll be like at the stroke of the second, probably, you know, the way Andrew is.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep. He's that type of person
Yep.
that it's, yep.
Hey, they're in Oakland. All right, so they're in Oakland. Who are you normally? Like, besides being there in Oakland, do I know you beyond that? Call me by my first name. We must know each other. What am I doing here? I'm hitting wrong. What button am I hitting? What button?
POV, I had 30
Hit
minutes
the right
before
button.
my
Woohoo!
campaign group showed up, and I was totally unprepared. I grabbed my Ready Set Encounter box and boom, everything I needed for an
Steven, there
epic
you
session.
go.
Adventure hooks, map tiles, loot tables, stat blocks,
Yes,
and
man.
miniatures,
See, look
all
at that.
ready to go. My players still think I
Cool,
spent
maybe
hours
getting the
planning
games,
our
coming
Great
up.
Dragon Encounter.
Or
If you're
maybe
a
you
busy
already
Dungeon
did,
Master,
'cause
get Ready
aren't
Set
you a
Encounter
platinum badge?
live now on Kickstarter.
That's good to see.
POV, I had
You're
30
prob-
minutes before my campaign group
Thank
showed
you
up,
there
and
in
I was
Oakland.
totally
Yep, that's awesome.
unprepared. I grabbed
Yep.
my Ready
He
Set
plays
Encounter box and boom,
Orist Rothschild.
everything I needed for an
Oh,
epic session.
his,
Adventure
the
hooks,
Earth
map
Elementalist.
tiles, loot tables, stat blocks, and miniatures, all ready to go.
Oh,
My players
cool.
still think I
Yep.
spent hours
Cool,
planning
man.
our Great Dragon
Yep.
Encounter. If you're a busy Dungeon Master, get Ready Set Encounter
I didn't even
live
look
now
and see if
on
anyone
Kickstarter.
signed up. And if Andrew is a little late, we'll check.
Oh yeah, we
But I don't
can-
know if Andrew's gonna be late. It's just not. It's not his style.
No.
Let me do this. See if we got any. Because we did. It was diamonds already could sign up. So let me go tabletop. Steven. Yep, Dixon. Yep. My schedule. I have no attendees under the Ed Wood game, so no diamonds signed up for it.
Yeah, I have no diamond sign-ups either.
All right, well that's okay. There's only like what 20? Steven, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever had a diamond sign up to any of my events ever. So yeah.
All right. Cool. Oh, I thought you, Steven, are you platinum or are you just standard gold? I thought you were, yeah. Yes, floor for it. Tomorrow night. Let me see if that shout out works. 8 o'clock Eastern. I have 5 streams this week. No. Platinum's next week. It was only Diamond this week. Yeah, I'm Platinum as well. But I don't really sign up for anything. But yeah, it's next week. I'd be right on it at noon, dude. You'd probably get in that game with Ed. What am I doing here? Oh, shout outs. Oh, wait. There we go. Yeah. Cool, man. I knew there was a name associated with that. I've been following since 2020, man. Awesome. Cool. I'm at the Facebook Messenger page that Andrew and I talk just in case something weird happens. You know, I'm covering
Yeah.
all angles here. What?
That's awesome. Thank you. But yeah, it was so good to have you. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to start them again. Hopefully a couple of times before Gary comes. So in a couple of weeks, I hope that I can start running a few playtest sessions. So, hello, that guy here.
Whew. Here he comes. I knew it. Right on the nose. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
A little bit of a small. I got the entry screen on right now. I had my ads done already. A little bit smaller group than we're used to on Mondays. So just adding myself with this as co-hosts. Oh, we're gonna come live. Why not? So here we go. Stephen, you part of work? Stephen Davidson, you part of work? Andrew, he said he's in chat. He said, "Hey, Andrew, welcome to Twitch World." Come live.
Yep.
Alrighty, look at this, man. It's been a long. I'm so excited. It's been a long time coming. Thank you so very much, everyone. Andrew Scott Perry, welcome, Andrew.
My pleasure.
And myself, we're kicking off this week.
Yeah.
It's a busy. Well, usually we end up on. It doesn't matter. End up begin, but have a lot of discussions. So 2 weeks ago we had Ed on, we had Tiffany Rose Nickel, and now we got Stephen on, and just I don't know how to say this other than if there are not many there are not many living legends left, right? Len's gone, Jim Ward, who DM'd in Andrew's group, was a special guest DM, but Andrew has been around for a long time, and I'm really, really happy that you all can experience what I've experienced at Gary Con, just sitting down and talking with him. It's a wonderful discussion. So, and I'm looking forward to it, Andrew. Thank you for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. A little chilly up in the tower tonight.
Oh my gosh! So is it like 0 degrees up there because you're in the Vermont?
Yeah, this is the Northeast Kingdom. It's about -8 outside. It feels like -22.
Oh
so
my
the
gosh.
Wind is a little chilly tonight.
Yeah.
The Tower of Ascension is 2 floors in the keep, so I'm on the top looking out over the water.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's a little crazy.
So Andrew's mine is in the basement. His goes upward, right? 2 floors up, and that's cool.
So I'm on the ground floor here. So, and it's a cozy 85 degrees outside still. It's 4 o'clock
nice
in the
California.
afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's Southern California. Yeah.
And
Luke
Josh
throws
Pop,
that in my face all the time. He's happy to say, "Well, I got a T-shirt on." I'm like, "Hey, man, I got a T-shirt on too. What do you want for nothing?"
Well, as a matter of fact, Josh Pop in chat just said, "Nice shirt, Andrew, looking sharp."
Gotta represent. Represent.
So let's gosh, I don't even know where to start.
I brought the Tower of Gygax.
Oh, you got your Tower of Gygax on.
To celebrate the
Let me set the giveaway up.
The occasion here.
Some classic D&D reprints. It is set. I got some good stuff. I got a I got a Morkane's Fantastic Adventure, original Ravenloft 2 Treasures, and at Tomb of Abastor. Some options for you all. Winner gets choice of 2, and I'll send them right out. And we'll talk about the rest of the schedule this week later on. So let's start at the beginning, Andrew. How did you meet Gary?
Well, he initially was a very avid chess aficionado and would go watch my father at IBM's Open. And so he was asking him over the years to play. And he said, "Well, I don't play anyone outside of IBM." He said, "But I'll tell you what, if because he came year after year, if you can beat my 9-year-old kid, I'll play you." So he thought, how hard could that be? And then he made the comment, "No one at IBM can beat him." So that was sort of interesting. After the game, he reached into his pocket and gave me that solid gold die.
Wow.
Oh.
And
yes.
Once Jim Ward saw that, he gave me this metal 20-sided, which these are the 2 dice that I've kept from people.
Wow.
And he invited us up to his house, and he and my father started corresponding because my dad was connected to a lot of the science fiction authors. There weren't really anyone called fantasy authors at that time, but he invited him up, and they started having a whole host of discussions about history, about different books, about Civil War stuff. And so my father said, "I'll bring my Civil War miniatures up for you to look at." These were figures that had been cast and molded in the Civil War. So we went up to Geneva to their house and got there and got shown onto the porch. And there was a bunch of guys around a table. And Ernie was the youngest there. He was in high school. Ernie was 6 years older than me. And my dad was pretty put out. I could tell right away. And Jim Ward used to tell this story all the time. He called this the pin drop story. So Gary proceeds to explain Dungeons and Dragons to my father. And, he listens the whole time, sort of processing this, and says, so you're telling me that you're playing a game that you can't win? And everyone's quiet at the table.
It's true.
Jim Ward laughed. And Gary says, well, yeah, I guess. And my dad says, why would I ever play that? And so I figure we're leaving. I figure we're done. And he turned to me without missing a beat and said, would you like to play? And to this day, I cannot connect the mechanism in my brain that said yes. But I got to roll up my first character there. And with Gary, you're rolling in line. So he says the score, you're given 3 dice, boom, you roll a line, next one. He looks at them and says, oh, wow, these are good. You could be all these different things. And then he said, or this, and takes a piece of paper that's going in the strategic review, and it's the Ranger.
Oh,
and on paper, right? It's not in the document yet. It's just the piece of paper.
So you literally had one of the earliest
first
Rangers
Ranger
ever played.
I doubt it was first. I'm sure.
No, but early on, at least.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, and there's a weird story. So I rolled that up, and then I got given money. And as a poor person, being given, I think 90 gold or whatever it was, I was so excited, and the shopping list, and I immediately put it onto a war dog. And Ernie, who I'm sitting next to, was like, don't get an animal. My dad, animals never make it. Don't get an animal. Don't get an animal. I spent everything I had on that goddamn dog and named it Ralph for the book Runaway Ralph, which I had read in, that year in school. And Ralph made it to the second room when we got down the stairs in Greyhawk.
Oh, that must have been tough.
That was it.
Yeah.
Ralph had a red shirt.
It was very sad.
Yeah.
He was a red shirt. Well, I was busy drawing a picture of him when he got killed, so that was really fast. However, at Gary Con 8, I'm sitting next to Jim Ward at something, and he turns to me and says, hey, I was thinking about your dog and about your first character. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, you're not really dead. What do you mean?
Oh.
So at the end of the summer, it was a total party kill. Gary wasted everybody. We got to the pool room, which is a sort of a famous room in the dungeons, and everyone had been killed. There was a beholder coming after us, and it fried people, and I ran away, not really understanding anything at that age about alignment or details or being heroic. It was run away. And I tried. I drank a potion, didn't do anything. Drank a second one, learned a word I didn't know as a 9-year-old, miscability, and got to roll on a chart and got fried and turned to stone in the pool. Right? First character gone. Statue. Second character, Wordna, my wizard, Wordna, like Jim Ward's Dromage. Mine was Wordna, my name backwards. And that's where this tower, the building I'm in, got the name Tower of Ascension. That's the piece I created all 50 years ago. And I've seen reference to Wordna in one piece of Greyhawk lore somewhere, printed somewhere. And I was like, I remember that. And Jim turns to me and says, you're turned to stone. You're actually not dead. Somebody could find you. I spent the rest of that convention mindless, puzzling through what 9-year-old me remembered as my first and favorite character, frozen, turned to stone in the bottom of Greyhawk, in the dungeons, in the pool room.
Yeah. So Wordna is the main evil character in the first wizardry. How did that connection happen?
So
wow.
So there's a lot of interesting things, but that second Wordna, first Wordna would be me. My Wordna is the only wizard, to my understanding, who was apprenticed to both Tensor first and Dromage second.
Wow.
And so I would craft spells, which I then made into a guild requirement for our club. And so all the people who play wizards have to make spells for every level of spell mastery they
Love it.
achieve. So we have thousands and thousands and thousands of spells, which we need to do something with and never have. But our characters are used to submitting research, and there's some fascinating stuff out there. There's some really cool stuff.
That's
So
awesome.
yes, so Wordna came from Fax, and was lucky enough to be with the adventuring crew in the early days. Travel back and forth between town, going into Greyhawk, and then going into the ruins was a real pain in the ass because everyone had horses, right? Well, Gary would always eat the horses. And that really sucked. Something was always, horses were run off or eaten or something like that. So I designed a spell as a watchdog. I created a spell to watch and try and warn us, or to help get the horses away. That made him really mad. That came up with that idea. And then we discovered accidentally a secret way. And normally, most people who would go into the dungeon, you'd have either you deal with the drinking games with the dwarves, you do the game of chance, and you have to give up precious gems or jewelry when you come out, or you deal with the elves, and with the elves you have to give up the best magic item, and you're always too stupid to remember to leave it behind or hide it somewhere, and you always come back and you lose the really good things. That's how Gary, with attrition, gobbled up us getting stuff back, because there was a lot of Monty Hallism, but there was also the aspects of, ooh, that's too good for them. Yeah, well, the elves take that. What are you going to do? I did win one time the game of chance. So you with the dwarves, you have two options when you have to surrender your stuff. You can surrender the items in question, or you can play a game of chance. And I did. And I played in an axe throwing or a knife throwing contest and won one time and got to keep my expensive piece of gems or jewelry, whatever it was. But yeah, so Wordna was lucky enough in the early days to be there when we found a secret way in to the castle itself. And I built my tower there as a guardianship by this place so that it would exist. And so the Tower of Ascension, this is actually a module I crafted and created and ran people through over the years.
Oh my gosh, man.
So it's a real thing. And then, of course, when my wife decided to build the keep, and I said, as a jackass, well, we're doing new construction. I want a wizard's tower. And she's like, what's a wizard's tower? And I said, that's not a no.
Yep.
Oh,
that's
man.
good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how long has that location been built for?
Took us 2 years to build it. It finished in 2023. We moved in at the end of May with no kinds of functional anything. We had a working toilet, a sink, and the refrigerator, and no air conditioning or anything like that. And that was 7 days before the 100-year flood wiped everything out in Vermont, killed the roads going both ways in. So it was quite humorous. It was the day our generator was supposed to be delivered for power, which would have been very nice. And I still haven't had the tower itself, the shelves or anything built out in it yet. So it's just, the shell of the room.
Nice.
Yeah, you got it. But it's fun.
She started at 9 years old with Gary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, as a youngin', third grader. Didn't really comprehend too much. Started playing with other people. And then 2 summers later, the club as an corporate object. So there's the Guilds of Warp, which consists of each of the different locations that I lived in that became a local guild. And then a person gets put in charge of it when I would move to place after place. And thus we have all the different masters for all the different locations.
We'll come back to this website showing this, but yes, here we go.
Oh, that's a very old imagery, but yeah.
Yeah, at least it's able for me to find. Thanks, Scala. Thank you for all those subs.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that shows at least some of what you have going on there on how it's spread. So you got to play with Gary and Jim Ward the first time.
Yeah. And Ernie.
And Ernie. Oh my gosh.
And Ernie. And when I would come and play, so Ernie was the only other kid. There were some other kids who would come over, but I didn't really ever play with them. I think one time it was always very exciting to go to Dungeon Hobby Shop because Ernie would give me either like, here's some hex paper, here's some goldenrod character sheets, or the green one. You know, you could get some different things that he would always give you because they would sell them by the sheet.
Right.
I never was buying in bulk, but it was great. Really fun stuff.
Wow. So
although my brown box got stolen, so I lost that.
Oh man.
Was in my backpack when my mother's car was stolen on my sister's birthday, and so all the stuff that was in the car vanished. They got the car back, destroyed and stripped, but everything that was in it was gone.
It's everyone has one of those horror stories, like, oh my gosh, I had put something in a box and I got a flood and I lost all my first edition books.
I am convinced I'm gonna see on eBay or a picture. So on all of the books for all of our members, it's always been tradition that I draw images on the inside covers. So I draw the different campaigns, I draw different pictures, sort of all sorts of stuff. And I'm convinced that one of these days I'm going to see the thing. It's going to have the note from Gary, and I'm like, that would be me. That's my name and that's my phone number from 50 years ago. I'd love to, so because Heidi just got a book returned to her like a year ago.
Really?
Out of nowhere. Yeah.
Wow.
Someone found or purchased a book that had her information, and that was returned. So I keep praying, but it's been a long time.
Man, it's possible. I guess it was showing that.
Heck yeah.
It's possible. What year was that? 74 we're talking about when you were 9?
76.
76. Okay. And then you went and started Warp almost, right after.
Well, I basically, started it as a group of people local. And then we, as a campaign, an ongoing campaign, that has been since the 4th of July in 78. We have, our campaign is a little bit interesting in that it existed. You and I have the same struggles, having had long-term campaigns.
We're going to bypass that discussion so you and I don't get pissed off.
I don't think I could go there, but
everyone knows.
There's been a long time. How ours works is we are episodic in the sense that I manage 15 different groups, campaigners that are episodic, that all fall into our master campaign. And then several of our board members have also taken on the burden to try and give me a couple of nights rest. My wife, the Muse, has one requirement, and she owns Thursday nights. But during even weeks, I game Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then on the odd weeks, it's Tuesday, 2 on Saturday, plus whatever makeup, and I always accept Thursday. And so I average between 1,500 and 1,700 hours between campaign and tournament.
A year.
So, which is most people's job. And I'm like, no, this isn't a job. This is what I actually do for campaign. So we have a pretty large storyline, but it's 15 different sessions plus 2 of our board members. The caller, that's Jim May. Each of the individuals in the club is given an assigned name based on a bunch of weirdness. My name, the Harper, was given to me by Janelle Jaquis in 1978 at Gen Con when we first met at the painting competition. And I had showed up with a Ral Partha miniature that I had spent forever on painting a lizard man, and was all excited to enter the kids thing. And I had missed it. I had missed the whole thing. But the contest, there was a sign because someone had the winner was like a dwarf on a hill, a molded hill. It was a really cool looking diorama, but someone had ripped it off. And so the dwarf was gone, the winner was gone. There was this angry sign there. And that's when I met Janelle, and we started talking and got the whole history behind Thracia and Dark Tower and all that stuff. Oh my gosh, which is really
such unbelievably fantastic. Those two.
Yeah.
Dark Tower is one of my favorites of all time. I mean, Thracia is deep and it's great too, but wow. I mean, Dark Tower's on that wall of fame I have downstairs.
I
Yeah.
was very privileged to know her and to work on her central casting stuff and for her to join the club and for us to be the playtesters of all of her conversions for 5e things. I was very grateful to have that opportunity to spend a lot of time with her, to go see her, to sort of spend time. She donated a whole host, she and Becky, of miniatures for the Founders and Legends tournament. So we got to use her stuff. And then literally, while I was interviewing her for our magazine, our internal club's magazine called The Harper's Tale, she said, "Oh, that's my doorbell." We had just started the interview. We're 5 minutes in. I just have to go get the door. I'll call you back. And went and did whatever that was. The sickness and the illness that she had been feeling was exacerbated enough that Becky took her to the hospital and she never
Oh
came home.
man,
She
jeez.
never came back.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And so we connected a couple of times, but it just went really downhill. And then the same thing happened to Becky last year.
Yeah.
She got
Yeah.
diagnosed with cancer in the end of the summer, and then bam, done.
Oh,
So
yeah.
crazy.
So
I met Janelle twice at when she had seminars at Gary Con. So that's
Brilliant mind. Brilliant.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Andrew, you and I have talked a lot, about my health issues, and you know how blessed we are now, and you know that I don't see the twilight, but we see the end. I mean, Ed Greenwood always says this to me, and the perspective that I think you've had your whole life, and I've wrapped in my head around is we got to get it done now, right? Whatever we need to do, it has to be done now. It has to be done while we're still here and while we're capable of doing it. So, and just with those stories, and we know how a couple years ago, between Founders and Legends, and I don't want to bring up something sad, between Founders and Legends and Gary Con, yeah, Jim's going to be coming. He's going to be coming in between, and he passed. I mean, and it was just,
So that was pretty crazy.
it
So
was,
at the end of each session of Founders and Legends, we have a surprise guest who does the epilogue and the opening for the next year. So that was Jim for the first year. Luke and I created Founders as an homage to the 50 years of D&D, and it was based on a bunch of very interesting things. One thing the club does is we do what are called crossovers. So it was primarily a very old school D&D thing that migrated forward in additions, but I never jumped into the 5e stuff. And so I still run all the old school stuff. Well, there was a big push by the caller, that's Jim May, for us to onboard with people. And when the club voted to make the decision to offer up 50 tickets to laymen, people who were not connected to the guild in any way, that we said, okay, if you attend our tournament and you play stuff, we'll allow you to join, pledge to join the club, and because we're a private club, and do that. And so our waiting list is a couple hundred strong already, and boom, we got all the people who joined and connected in, and that's been fabulous. But there was a large crowd of 5e-ers who play. And so we started running 5e, which was very different and interesting. And that's really connected and expanded the club. So as Luke and I started talking 4 years ago about the origins of Founders, one of the things was to do an homage running through every edition.
Yeah.
And so the surprise was at the end, you're running into Dwarmage. And when that happens, Jim had a whole script and he nailed it. So we set that all up. We built the whole thing out. He did everything. He had all his props and everything good to go. And he calls us the morning of our prep as we're getting ready and all the people are coming next day. I'm going to be late. Not feeling well. Got taken to the hospital. My son, Breck, who's a wonderful human being, Breck took Jim's seat in the club. Breck, who had never played games before, we had lured in to play his first game, and now he's a regular guild member. But at the time, Jim was on our board, and he literally talked to us the whole weekend, calling over and over and over as everything went. And then finally, when he was non-responsive, I'm also an author, weirdly, and I'm going to be publishing my first 3 very strange fantasy science fiction books this year.
Awesome.
And so he had been reading and proofing and giving me a lot of support on it. And so I read him the last chapter. His son Breck held the phone to him, and he said, Dad's squeezing my hand. And just before he died, a couple hours before that.
Yeah.
So it was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Jim is a lifelong friend. I've known him since I was a child. He was a brilliant, really funny guy. Suckered me out of my first magic items, arguing, well, you're not here every week. I'll give you money and you give me the magic items. And then years later, he said, I never did that. And I'm like, here's the goddamn character sheet. Look what it says. You wrote this. And he lost his mind. He laughed and laughed. He said, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, but I can say when you're 10, 12 years old, that will be easy pickings.
Such a great memory.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Jim was a riot. As
Yep.
a young guy, he was really funny and very much larger than life. Ernie was too. They were big people in the gaming community.
Jim told us a story when he was on about how the term Monty Hall DM came about, and that he had killed more. In Starship Warden, he had taken out Morgan Kane like 5 times or something, and Gary had enough. He goes, "Well, you're one hell of a Monty Hall DM," and that's how it began. So, man,
and that was his thing.
Yeah.
All of the early magic items were tested. And so many of them would get broken. So you guys know everything about Greyhawk, the Gray Man, all the different specialty creatures which were immune to everything, who would come out and punish you and knock the stuffing out of you and break your stuff and steal your stuff. And it was heart palpitations. Jim called me his designated and natural successor for the level of dark death and mayhem that comes. And one of the things that was given to me by him in his will was I have boxes full of all his skulls. And I still give out all the skulls and sign it. And he says the only skull that was ever given to him was when he was playing in Barrier Peaks and was killed. And so he got a skull from me in reverse.
So I'll never forget that day in the club when Anna was there too. It was you, me, and Anna, and we just sat and talked about Jim for like 2 hours, just reminisced and stuff. And it was just so awesome. And I remember the one thing you said to me was that Jim confirmed that his Starship Warden, the Barrier Peaks, is a pod from it. If I remember, you stated that. So
the mechanics of it are strange. So there are so many versions of the history story on how that stuff all came together. I've read everything that Goodman put out. I've looked at the different research pieces that have come out by people, and I sort of keep my own counsel on it. The memory I have was the drunken argument that Gary and Jim had about what would it look like to have a bunch of adventurers go into a police station in the year 3000. That's the memory of the conversation I have that kicked off the concept. They both wrote the treatment for that. Gary said his was better, and that was sort of how the infrastructure got put together. Then it went and played at Origins, and it was one of the first things I saw because Origins was a near enough conference, and I loved it. And then in 80, they published the physical copy. What was in it that was interesting at the time was the idea, sort of the concept of this device, I have the physical thing right here that we printed. One of our members printed one of these.
I'm going to bring this up for everyone real quick, so you just don't know what I'm talking about.
So it was basically a little computer thing that has a slide on it. Well, we're making a real one now, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh!
So that's going to be bananas. This was a hard print that one of our members made, and so it had a slider with 56 positions on it. I interpreted that to mean there were actually 56 levels to the ship, and so I built them. And I started in a scientific notebook, and then I made basically giant size maps that could exist on pizza plates.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Map
It,
after map after map. So every
yeah,
single level.
yeah.
Now, I
Just
used
when,
to.
when you say that, that is interesting because there was a traveler module called the Asanti High Lightning, a box set that had almost identical
I
round
I
maps
used to
from one
have
and
that.
two.
Yep.
Yeah, that was so
And
interesting because I read about this and then I got that module and was like, this is kind of, yeah.
the book, the Clark book Rendezvous with Rama, was a round cylinder, and
Ah, yeah,
they made a video game for
mhm,
that, a
yeah,
Rama video game,
yeah,
and so there was precedent for a bunch of the stuff.
hmm
So I built out all the decks and each of the deck plates in my little booklet and did all this stuff. And then I showed it to Gary at Gen Con that summer. He took my booklet away, ran away with the booklet, and then came back on Sunday, gave it back to me, covered in notes and questions and ideas. We're going to do something. This is great. Da, da, da. Oh my God, this is huge. Da, 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 da. Obviously, within that 2 year period, a whole host of stuff is going on and huge changes in his life. And I went out to Hollywood House to see him, to work on maps, to look at stuff and to talk about it. And, Ernie is out there. Luke was there during the summers. And Flint Dilly, he's working out in a little guest house area. And Gary's got this huge table covered in the treatment cells for the cartoon, the D&D cartoon that's being worked on, plus the scripts, all the stuff that they're trying to do to get the movie off the ground, those things. So I kept working on all this stuff, and then over the next year, the blooms, the stock swap, the Lorraine issue, and boom, done. And that was it. Everything just sort of vanished, and it just became a quiet thing, and the club kept playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it, and that's how that went. And then the year. Yeah, 56 levels, with all the secret levels and the tween decks. The whole thing is like 224 hard deck pages, if you could see the pile there, it represents 6.5 feet worth of paperwork under the tower desk right now.
My
So
gosh,
it's enormous. I mean, it's 48 years of crazy.
Yeah. Years of accumulation.
And so, 45 years of crazy.
Yeah.
And so then after GaryCon 8, if you remember the huge server crash that they had, where they lost everyone's name and had to manually register and do all that, I wrote Luke a long letter, said, I think I can help you. Here's some things you should be considering. And he said, would you show up at Growing Up Gygax and tell, a couple of stories that you remember with Dad? And oh, by the way, do you run that game I remember as a tournament? I said, never have. Would you? Okay. And so we started doing that. And that sort of unraveled and has become a regular thing. And then I talked with Peter, and that became a thing at Gen Con, and then at Game Hole, and then at North Texas. And so it's sort of all over the place now. We run it to allow people to sort of see into the campaign world, and we've integrated it into Arkenforge. We are their primary development house behind it. The 100-inch flat touchscreen Sony TV that's going to be embedded into my gaming table down in the dungeon is actually designed to handle the ellipse of how Arkenforge will run and translate, so that people will be able to both play and move their things around on the table.
Nice.
Plus all the people who are on screens, on the video screen in the wall in the dungeon, will be there. Literally, when my wife built the keep, that's what we call this house, the Keep of the Four Worlds, which is kind of weird. And people are like, oh, that's from Roger Zelazny. And I'm like, no, it's the opposite. I created the name for an elemental place before Roger, had the conversation with Roger because he and my dad knew each other. My dad did some stuff with Roger over the years. And then I was still friends with his son, Trent, because he and I both had a son named Corwin. And I said to him, hey, remember the conversation we had about the Keep of the Four Worlds, and your dad used it in the Merlin books and da 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 da. That's actually the name of my house. Is that going to be a problem? And he's like, no, don't care. And then Trent died suddenly at Thanksgiving. And so now I'm like, oh shit, who do I got to talk to in the Zelazny estate to make sure nobody comes after my house? But,
Right.
who the heck knows? I mean,
Oh my gosh.
but I still have pictures of my original ones that I can always show and say, hey, this was actually a weirdo thing that I came up with.
Well, and there should be like documents with dates on it before it was published or something.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not anything anybody cares about. It's just some crazy crackpot.
It will be cool, and if someone cares about it, you can make a news story out of it, and that will be fun. Yeah.
The fun thing that the police, the guy who lives on the lake where I live, he's like, yeah, we're the only lake that has a wizard's tower. I'm like, right on, baby. With a big giant dragon that sits out in front. So works out.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So yes, Barrier Peaks is a monstrous thing. It's getting bigger all the time. We run 8 sections of it at different conventions now for people to try. You guys have earned a slot into it. And our rule has always been once people have played a session, that gets them on the waiting list if they want to join the club to play in campaign. And we have different opportunities that allow people to come in and play and sort of join our band of crazy people.
Which totals how many persons now?
Yeah. How big is the guild?
So that's a complicated question. So the club itself has around 340 members, of which maybe 65, 75 are active players in campaign. And then we have about 30 active tournament players. We have a bunch of people that we run what are called signature games that play in tournament at different conventions on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so they're 2 different groups. They're active tournament and active campaign, and sometimes there's overlap.
So let me visualize this picture for you all at GaryCon. It's breakfast, and if you're not getting up at the crack of dawn, then you're not getting with this group. So I get up and I get there and I get at the long table. I eat with all of Andrew's war players, and they're all diamond or platinum badge holders sitting there.
Well, those aren't players. That meeting is the Masters meeting.
That's the Masters meeting. That's the Masters. Yes, I'm sitting with the Masters.
Each of the guilds elects every year. So we do a survey for our club annually. And I've been doing the survey since 91. And it's to get a sense, it's arduous pages and pages and pages of what did you like? What are the mechanics? What do you think about this? All the different things. Our rules are arduous. We have 56 pages of house rules of changes and customization that I've done. And we've now added on 5e rules to that too. So we just have a bunch of custom stuff that kind of works out. And so each club gets to put forth a master, and that master is in charge of disseminating all the information, getting people on the volunteer list, sort of luring folks in to do different things and help us out and move club stuff forward. It's where we draw people for hospitality. It's where we draw people who work on stuff. And of the 4 board members, myself, the caller, the architect, and the muse, the 4 of us make the final decisions on what the club moves forward. My wife is the only member of the club who has never played a game, but she was voted into the club on Christmas Eve, 1984, and given that title. And so when you look at the pictures of the board, it shows, the 4 people. It used to show 5 when Jim was a part of the board, but she is the only one who doesn't. But she draws the pictures for our shirt.
Yeah.
And so she drew the picture of Demogorgon for this year, which is amazing. So very exciting stuff.
So when we're all sitting there, and Andrew runs in, talks to someone, zips right back out. I'm like, never sits down. All right,
no.
You're always on.
My schedule, right? So I run sessions at night. On 2 signature games, they're scheduled till 1 to 2 a.m. in the morning, and my day starts at 4:30. So I have a very short window between all the stuff that I have to do for the businesses I own, and then writing. I try and get in 2,500 words a day, and so I try and do that before 6 a.m. And then I have all the folks that work for me nationally and internationally for the technology business I'm in, and then it's go and run sessions at night and meet with the various things. And then we have our quarterly masters meetings and all the other people that we connect with. So it makes for a busy day, busy weeks.
2 hours.
GaryCon. No. My average is 4 to 5.
4. Okay.
I try for that. I normally go to bed between 12 and 1, and I wake up naturally between 4:30. Try and do 5. Doctors are pressuring me to go a lot longer, and that's not working very well.
Yeah, I have that. It's tough. It's tough to sleep extra. It really
Yeah, indeed.
is.
Well, it's tough to sleep like regular people. I don't know where you all go. I don't go there.
Right.
So
Yeah,
everyone.
sleeping is one of my biggest talents. I learned it in the military. Sleep everywhere. You just just sit down and don't concentrate enough to stay awake, and I fall asleep.
Well, that's what my wife argues. She says I'm asleep all the time because I'm just sitting there. And if we sit to watch television or a movie now, I can't. I literally, my brain says it's dark, it's quiet, and shuts me off, and I'm
Yep.
out.
I'm
And
fall asleep too when
it's desperate sleep is what the doctor says. It's because your system can't actually get enough, because they calculate my awake time as my physical body's age. So my eyes have been awake as long as around a 90-year-old. It's crazy because they say you have so much wear and tear on your system because you're always up. And I've met a lot of people who are, oh, I don't sleep well, but they always go to sleep. I always watch them go to sleep. Okay.
Oh yeah, I go to sleep and I was like, I'm going to read something, and then I can't remember more than 5 minutes, and I'm unconscious.
No, I get that.
Quick.
It's crazy.
So, wow. I know. All right, I've run 1,164 adventures in my campaign.
Yep.
46. I guarantee you've tripled that at least, right? So how many?
So you're asking me how many events are we at?
How many adventures, or how many? My session total is roughly 3,750. That's a guess.
Yeah,
that's a guess. So what are your thoughts on that?
So we call our systems events. And what I mean by that is, so here, wait, I'll show you what an event sheet looks like, because this will help you.
Yes, you can crash the stream, by the way, if you share it. If you do a share on there, you may crash the whole stream, believe it or not.
Oh, so don't do that.
Yeah,
okay, so I will not do that.
So if you want to, if you want to put it in something,
don't cross the stream.
Right. If you want to put something in the Facebook Messenger as a file, I can pull it out and then put it up.
Yeah, Jace is a little bit sensitive there.
Yeah.
So
no, it's just the way the allocation.
So basically, what happens is, in each of the episodes, each of the campaigns that are part of the main campaign, they play between 1 to 4 times a month, or whatever the case may be. And so with the 18 primary campaigns, they are either weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual. Those are the things. And then we have crossovers, and then we have connection tournament. So those are the different hooks into it. Our events reset every year so that we always start with the same number. You're always event 1 and then the year.
Okay.
And then there are sometimes, if people get lost or separated or have something else going on, there's an A, B, or C that goes with them. So if I look at all the ones that are recorded since 1978, the summer of 78, there is 12,016. 12016 right now. And so originally, because it was done by hand, first everything was done by hand, where I wrote them out, and we used my father's 20-pin printer paper. Right. And then we would take rulers. I'll have to show you this, Gary Con. We would take rulers, and that would show all the events that had happened during the month, during the quarter, and during the year. And people could figure out which ones they were in and which ones they were connected to, because they would go back. And we had them in notebooks. We have a master right now who is petitioning to become a new board member, and he wants to be called the archivist, as the person who actually goes through the 33 boxes of the file storage of all the physical hard paper we have. We have 4 boxes of hard drives that are now being digitized to take all of our digital storage and connect all those dots. But we still have all the paper that has to get done as well. So it's a nightmare. So yeah, there's a lot. But basically 12,000 events would be my answer to your question. Over 48 years.
That's a little bit more.
Well, I don't know that it's longer. It's just, I'm sort of a machine. I just turn the stuff out. Yeah. So,
awesome.
It's interesting because I watch a lot of D&D. I watch a lot of players. I look at a lot of folks, And the thing that we get back as feedback is there is a sense of the different. Actually, we do have one person who calls me a one-trick pony, that all the monsters and creatures sound the same. Go get voice lessons. I get told that a lot. We have one member who says that every year at the survey. But for the most part,
Gosh,
the surveys are there is a real sense of urgency. I go to sleep and worry about this stuff, or I feel like it's real. We get lovely commentary and concepts about stuff, which is exciting. And so we've been sharing that now in seminar for folks to try and explain how you can go from a good to great to superior, and then a legendary type. What did it take to actually create meaningful campaign that people don't walk away from and go, wow? And we find that folks who experience us in campaign at tournament, for lack of a better term, either in Founders and Legends or at convention, they tend to give us a lot of very positive feedback, because at every convention, we survey all of the players who play in tournament, just so that we have that data as well. And so I keep a really good aggregate over the years of what works, what doesn't, how do I tweak this, what's catching them. And I keep as a professional public speaker, I keep what I call the 3 yawn rule. I can tell if people are engaged or not if I catch 3 yawns during the session, because I have a no phones rule and a bunch of other arduous rules that people have to get used to, but it really helps with immersion. And if you create a session that is meaningful, that's powerful, people walk away with that and go, yeah, I've not experienced that. And that's the magic behind the game. It really is the capability to provide an aha moment or a shock and awe experience, and people really like that. That's what Founders and Legends has become, is this place where people can go and play with sort of some of the legends, people who actually crafted a lot of the material, or in my case, just experienced a lot of material, and see what it's like to wander through someone's mind. That is really a campaign, 4 years disguised as a tournament.
yeah,
But it's a 4-year story.
absolutely. So I'll get an example. We're going to share this tomorrow night during our session 0 with a bunch of new people. We're going to start playing. Pip, who's in chat, that's Rachel. She played yesterday. I had a story. Has Priestess of Saint Benedor. Went up. That's a death knight on Dead Hunter. Went after a death knight and all the story. It was great. It was a great session yesterday morning. We live streamed it. She drew a picture of her character. The Death Knight had cut her left ear off and all, and it was just like, oh my gosh! And so I know the immersion. It feels so good, doesn't it? When you know that your players are enjoying it, and they do something for you beyond, or they say, oh my gosh, that was fun. And that's the best feeling of all. You get
it is.
Yeah.
It is very hard to express to people what's in it for you as a DM, because your role is all in, and I don't get to play. I mean, I might get to play every couple of years, and so our board is now always trying to drag me off to a game, but I'm usually too tired, and so we're trying to find a couple of hours where there's a break. But I know that between Founders and GaryCon, that 2.5 hour window I have between when Founders finishes on Wednesday, and then we do the Martell Pizza Party and go into the Jim Warden Memorial Game, which runs, that's a 6-hour thing with as many members as who want to play. That 2.5 hours, I go get a massage and literally fall asleep for the whole time. That's my break. That's my downtime. So works out.
And it's scheduled. That's Aaron, how about that? The 2.5 hour window is scheduled already. So thank you, Rachel. Thank you. It was very kind. And we'll do that tomorrow night when we have all the just as an example. I'm going to give you another example of someone who I know that I think is like becoming more and more involved with you. And he's like a firebrand, right? And that's Yoav, right? Is he?
Yeah, he's a member. Yes. Yeah, he is a firebrand.
Yeah.
Hang on, I realized I had 2 interesting pieces of
That's
history,
it.
which would give you a good laugh.
That's
So this is what our manual sheets look like. These are from the 70s and 80s.
Oh my gosh.
And what happens is the sheets would show which adventures you were in, who was in it, where'd they go, da 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 da. And it's all on old 20-pin printer paper.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got boxes of this that give all the event numbers and all the details. That's why when you and I were talking about the Guinness thing, I was like, they want fucking records?
Yeah.
I got records. I'll eat you alive.
Anna, we had a talk after all that stuff, and both of us.
Inconsolable.
Yeah. So
here is my first Trapper Keeper from 1976 from D&D, playing D&D with all my character sheets, all my stuff in it. And I brought this to show Ernie because he had, my original character stuff in it. And the only picture I had of my father and Gary and me together, and I was showing it to Ernie and went to the bathroom, came back, someone had torn the picture out.
Oh my God.
And I lost. And so
oh my God.
Cindy, or I think it was Cindy, someone had gotten a new camera. This is when it was at the university. And took that photo. And so I keep meaning to ask her to try it because it's the only picture I have.
Oh man.
But this is ancient. I mean, so this has got those, the label maker gun where you have to press and squeeze. And these are the little tie label things. Yeah, it's beaten to hell. Yeah, but it has all the old character sheets on my original map of Mirth.
Yeah. No, it's just like, you're like me. I've never thrown anything away. I have every character sheet.
Oh yeah, you never throw anything away. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And
everything.
Bins downstairs.
Well, and it's interesting too because the first sheets were pieces of paper that I was given that weren't lined. So the character sheets with my left-handed handwriting, they would go down and scrolling over to the right. But once I got to the half side of the page, I'd write with my right hand. I injured this one in first grade. And so I was forced to use this one. This one only prints. This one was a script hand. So I write in script left-handed and print right-handed. It looks like a madman. When you see me up on a whiteboard or something, people are like, what the hell is going on?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So that's a little
I'm ambidextrous. I couldn't decide which hand to use in primary school either. And then they say, pick one because you had to. So I picked left hand.
At my age, they didn't want us to use left. They hated that. We were forced quite a bit to use right. My parents had to come in and tell them, no, he's left-handed. Oh, he writes so much better with his right hand.
It's funny because I use for my mouse, I use my right hand. And with my Wacom, I use my left. So I cannot go between the two when I'm working in Photoshop and stuff. So,
I getcha.
Andrew, you remember school back then? They had the special scissors for lefties that had the plastic around them for the left-handed people, right? They're the exactly. Why do the lefties had to use that one? You couldn't use normal scissors.
See how it says lefty on it?
I can't believe
that and this. That and this are my left-handed scissors because I usually do cutting and artwork with my left hand while I'm writing with my right. You got it.
It's like, oh my gosh. Oh, that's
it's bananas. It's bananas.
Good. That's another memory I have back
exactly. Ambidextrous or indecisive. I don't know which, but
it's hard to rationalize what the answer is. It's just you're moving the ball. But there was only one set of those in school in art class, and they were in terrible shape because the rubber, whatever this was chewable, so everyone would chew them.
Yeah, that's true.
They're chewable.
And these things
chew it right off.
These are probably 1974. So these are pretty old.
Yeah, this is one of those memories I had of the special lefty scissors. Oh my gosh.
Nightmare.
Yeah, that and the mimeographs. So
ditto paper. Oh, that stuff smells so good. Whatever that is, that can't be good for you. But that's how my father would make my character sheets. He would type the sheet out and have a ditto in there, and then a third sheet in there, so I'd get 3 for 1.
Oh, nice.
And so all of my early sheets, 76, 77, and 78. If I wasn't getting paper from Ernie Goldenrod, I was having my dad manually make them. And then I started trying. It was horrible because I was not a professional typist in those days.
Yeah.
I think my dad was using a Royal Crown. I can't remember. I have to think which typewriter it was. And then he got we got the Sinclair that we built and hand soldered the Sinclair for our first
Sinclair
computer.
Had 1K of memory.
1K of memory, and I think you could get up to a 300 baud modem in those days on the magnetic phone coupler that you would use to play Lunar Lander or whatever other dumb game that we could connect to on IBM's Watch line.
Lander was it was an awesome game. I loved Lunar Lander.
Great game. Great game.
It was, you learned physics.
You're going through so much paper that it's just wailing on the paper while you're trying to type your commands for understand. Right. Semi-logarithmic math makes sense. Physics is rational. People are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you've crashed. You made it. Ta-da. Yeah.
So I've come a long way, Andrew. Card stock.
That's no fooling around.
Yeah,
and I feel so good about watching you as one of the stewards, the two of you,
thank you,
of our material, because there is a comfort in knowing that there are people who are vigilant and paying attention and have good memories about this stuff and are crossing I's, crossing T's and dotting I's. Well, not a lot of good working brain cells at this point, but that it makes a big difference in how our stuff is perceived. And I know it's important to a lot of the fans of our gaming industry because there is a large stretch. We only find more people who are interested, only find more people who want to play, only find more people who want to engage. And it's just the thing working against us is time.
Yes.
There isn't the time. My schedule goes out through 2028 right now, and I'm struggling to find more time, and there just isn't. Time is the fix versus the dynamic.
I've recently had to make a decision on something, and I have decided that I'm going to attempt to pull in as many fellow streamers, other people, and get this thing rolling, more and more and more, because I have, of my adventuring groups, 20 are roughly my core group of players that go back to like 1980, right? 1980, 85 through 85, that crew. And then I have roughly 6 or 7 groups that are all the special event group players, like Ed Greenwood. Ed Greenwood's got Ravalantar's Greyhawk Mage in the group 2 drink minimum. So Ed's a regular, right? So, or Eric Mona, who, from Paizo, Vernarium Vord, he's a regular in the Slav Squad group. So, but I want to get more of those groups because you're right. Time is against us. I know that all too well from last year,
being raised with a bad heart, and that illness has not been fun. I've learned a lot of limitations as I'm on the edge of 60 now. I feel the difference, and it's humbling. It is very humbling. Didn't expect it. You gamble your way out, and that's not how it goes.
They were extremely kind words you said. Thank you so very much. I really
it's true. I'm grateful for the stuff you do, and I love watching it. I like the experience of seeing how you guys are paying attention and moving the ball. I like that people seek me out to play this stuff, and my wife sort of scratches her head when different folks. Well, just the people who call and want to connect up, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. And she's like, oh, I know who that is. That's this and this person. I'm like, okay, but
for me it's fun being now. I've mapped the Greyhawk setting once as a fan. Now I feel like I'm going to do it once over again with much better technology and skills, because when I started I had no clue what I was doing. Now I know way more, having 30 years of immersed myself more and more, especially the last 10 years. That has been my day job, to try and understand the setting enough so I can map it, and now I want to do it again, and now it's so much fun to get into it, and also heraldry and banners and stuff like that,
which is fascinating.
Yeah, because I want it to be a raw material that Greyhawk gamers in the future can draw upon and use as a base. It's a raw material for other gamers, Greyhawk fans and gamers to use, so to speak. So I don't do modules and stuff like that, but my stuff is in a lot of stuff, so to speak. So that's
Well,
the
and
important
and
part.
that
Yeah.
makes sense to me. My world, so basically Gary created O Earth and built out sections of it. I made mine and called it Mirth, which
Yeah.
is multi-Earth or Mother Earth, depending on folks when they were doing it. But I spell the multiverse Multei instead of the other way, and that allowed me to take portions of Greyhawk and alter them subtly and connect them up to different things that I was reading at the time.
Yeah.
And so that has worked very well for our people who are big players in Greyhawk, because many of the places and experiences they encounter are familiar, but there's always some weird twisted difference, which is fun, especially for the rules lawyers and folks who have,
Yeah.
they own all the modules, they own all the stuff, they consume it, voraciously. And we find that they are stopped short as they puzzle through what's different. So our conversation at Gamehole, I think it was, where I said, hey, there's a couple of cities or towns that it might be fun for you to map, because they would recognize what
Yeah.
you've done. And that would be interesting to have that same flavor and feel. It
Yeah.
should be fun.
Yeah. And that's why I think one of the strengths, both with the hobby as a whole and also with the Greyhawk community, is that first of all, there's so many different ways of enjoying the game and the hobby, and there's so many sub hobbies you can do that benefits the hobby as a whole.
It's
Meaning
just
your
paint,
character
painting,
portraits,
terrain building.
exactly.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of there's like a myriad of cool sub hobbies that are awesome in its way, that makes it, from doing computer programming, miniature design, 3D printing, painting.
There is no end anymore.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
You can do so many cool stuff, and it's so awesome that you can benefit the broader gaming community and then the Greyhawk community by adding your little favorite. And for me, it's the geography, the mapping, and some of the stuff surrounding that, so to speak, that I felt I could do the biggest impact and help. Yeah.
We're all under an NDA, but Anna's stuff, Anna's heraldry is eye candy, right? And that eye candy is big.
Yeah.
Just going back to the original folio.
Yeah.
That's what drew me into Greyhawk, was all that heraldry on that folio.
Yeah. And
like,
I've done,
Love looking at that.
Yeah. So now I've done almost, I think, hang on a second. Now I need to see how many I've done.
Wonderful. So wonderful stuff. All right.
Yeah. Repository.
While I was looking, I had a history prof who's a regular at Gary Con had a question regarding the do you know a lot about Jim Ward's Metamorphosis Alpha, and did you find that superior to Gamma World, or would you
that's a complicated question. So MA, when it first came out, was $5. I found $3 on the street and was given my allowance, which was enough money to buy MA when it came out. And the piece on the back that talked about the moose with quills, the woodpecker, the teleport, all that crazy stuff, it sold me in. I made all 17 levels of the Warden out of wood. And so had this crazy tall thing that stood up so I could have all the levels out there and built, which I showed him years later, which he really liked. That piece did not survive our flood, in that we lost a whole host of things. We had consolidated from our households, and we had things in those the military tents that are about the size of a tractor trailer. So that's where things were being put. They were supposed to palletize them and put them on pallets. Well, one of the tents wasn't palletized. And so I lost a lot of very custom clothes, some very old stuff. And sadly, my father's and my handwritten badges that Gary gave us for the first Gen Con we went to in the 70s.
Oh,
so we lost it. And it was funny because when we opened the box, you could see it underwater. You could still see the image in the shadow box it was in. And the second it was exposed, it just, literally vanished in front of you.
Oh.
And so that whole the wooden levels of the Warden didn't survive. They were what is that called? Like pasteboard. the cheap
Right.
the one you use,
the cheap wood.
Yeah.
It's like little bits of wood
like
and
it's
glue.
a fiberboard of some sort that is like a fluffy,
whatever
almost.
that junk wood was, it did not survive at all.
Yeah.
But so I have always loved MA. Oh, and I guess I got to go back and answer your question. We never got back to the answer on Barrier Peaks. Wow, sorry.
Bouncing around.
The saddest part is, when do I not over talk everything?
No,
this is ridiculous.
This
ridiculous.
Is awesome, don't worry about it.
So
just keep it rolling.
So they had the bet. They built the thing. It got published. There was that weird slider box. I built all the levels, and how I designed it was, the pitch I made at the time was, don't you think that the Warden would have a colonization ship? Mm-hmm. Well, it's this big giant ovoid that's flying around, that's going to this place, and it's going to land. It's not going to land anywhere. It's built in space. It's going to stay in space.
It can't land.
It's never going to get there. So what I did was, I christened, since I had built the whole ship for the Barrier Peaks ship, I gave it a name and called it the Peregrine, and said, this is the piece that consists of the 8 segments of the landing ship. And what it did when the Warden flew through the cloud was, it tried to jump away and was fried in the process and broken up into the pieces. And I stuck them all over the place in my world.
Okay.
Some of them, one piece landed on Mirth. That's the Barrier Peaks piece. And then all of the story that you play at the different tournaments is encountering different pieces out there in the world.
My bad. I hit the wrong button. I'm stuck here. 1 second. I'm trying to switch it. That was me, everyone. Sorry. Boing.
That was impressive.
Yeah. That was our add-in.
We are trained professionals.
Yeah.
Don't try this at home.
See, I do it all the time. So sorry about that. My apologies. Yeah. No.
So that's okay. So that's how it happened.
Okay.
I was the one who named it, and I said it was the colonizing landing ship for the Warden. That was the original concept, and then it kind of morphed away and became a different thing, because I was one of the few people who didn't actually use the name Warden. I had a different name for my ship, and he always wondered to people, why don't they have different names? I'm like, I don't know, but I just made my own. When I read the book, I could make my own ship. And so I now run the Jim Ward Memorial MA game, so that there's still a game run every year at GaryCon. And
so it is a difficult answer to that question. So but we're assuming that Gary, because Gary's the official writer of the Barrier Peaks Adventure. So
he did.
He took that from inspiration, at least, correct? That adventure from okay.
Yeah, who knows?
Right. Okay.
And remember, in the day, in the Dungeon Master's Guide, MA, conversions to Metamorphosis Alpha, and Boot Hill were in there.
Yep.
And so
Merlin,
because Jim had the rights to MA, that's why Gamma World was created. And I have always very much appreciated the fast and loose rules that MA is. It is very much like OD&D. It feels the same. Even first edition, AD&D, that they now call first edition. I always think of that as AD&D, right? Because 1E and 2E are really just AD&D. It's this broader thing. Mm-hmm. Our version of campaign is a hybrid of first and second edition. We threw away secondary skills and picked up the non-weapon and weapon proficiencies because we wanted to have ways to do skill checks that allowed for a lot more reticent activity that makes sense and is germane to the way people play. And that's been very valuable to our players.
And that's interesting, because for me, in my game, I've taken some, not all, hand-picked third edition feats and melded them with a weapon proficiency system. So that's what I did.
I get that.
So
you and I need to share our rules. I'm going to add you to our rules share, So that
Nice.
because you live under my NDA, so every year I publish a set of rules, and for the last X number of years, the rules committee has been just berserk, going back and forth. And I finally said, okay, I'm just going to throw the things out there. Let's see, because we used to always put them out every year,
Yeah.
and it
But
explains how you design spells, how you have to do. So all of our casters have to create spells and then say the language that they use for their spells, either priests or wizards. And so the party doesn't know what the spell is. They only hear the description.
That's
And
cool.
so that becomes very powerful.
Yeah.
And we go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was going to say it kind of becomes, in my opinion, often a bit inevitable, at least for me, to start tweaking with the game. When you played long enough, so you start understanding what you're doing. That's why both what I'm doing and also what I want to do, so to speak. And that have forced me. So now the last like bit over 5 years, I make my own version of D&D, basically, like so many others. It's my heartbreaker, but I'm just going to give it away. So
Thank you, Holy.
So it becomes, I think, once you've been in a hobby long enough, you both know what tool you need and you want to use, and you become experienced enough with the material that you were like, oh, this is my style of playing, and this is what you want to emphasize and what you want to skip over and stuff.
No, absolutely. So, and you develop, like, and Andrew's got, you said 56 pages.
Yeah.
I have 20 color-coded books downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
know?
I've got bin after bin of those. It's crazy.
You got to have your customization.
Yeah, I started in 3rd edition,
but they're not
to 3.5. That's when I really started the house rule more systematically, and then in Pathfinder 1. And then I realized that, should I switch to 5e? Should I switch to Pathfinder 2? And then I realized, no, I'm just going to create my own from scratch, so to speak.
We've leveraged a lot of technology to make our lives easier. So when you're looking at an event sheet, it lists who are the players, what guilds are they from, what day was it played, who is the person who's assigned to scribe it. They have to write the story in their own character's voice, and then they stick maps on it, all the experiences listed and everything. So we've created custom event sheets. We have custom character sheets. Our character sheets get used by people all over the place. When Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro saw them, they said, "Where did those come from? That's not D&D." I don't know. We built our own, and we built a database into it, which is different. And so we have some brilliant people. We have a lot of computer people. We have a pilots guild. We have a lawyers guild. I mean, we have lots of different groups within the club, subsets, that provide either advice, guidance, or capability, a lot of capability to do stuff. Our technology people are called the Sphere Seers, and they're in charge of building and creating stuff, which is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Now I looked into it. I published 486 different shields and heraldry, and I probably have another 25 or something like that in the making. So, yep.
It's it's just the amount of creativity that exists out there. And I think, Andrew, you're seeing it now, right? The amount that we have, that this community has, Cannon Fire and all the other people out there, it needs to be shared, right? And that's, yes. And I think that the opportunity, as you said, we won't get into details. The opportunity is now, and there are people like you and us, like Mike. I love Michael Clark, right? Michael is wonderful, right? Wonderful person. We had him on last year, and he was telling about his campaign, showing the tower that's like goes to the ceiling and all. I mean, just those people. It would be a shame for it to just go away because we didn't share what we're doing over time, right? And that's what we have to do. And that's one of the reasons why I started streaming.
Well, and that's one of our big decisions right now. One of the reasons we added in the architect and the caller to start running games was so that after I'm gone, they'll be able to continue the club with all the people who are still playing.
Right.
My kids still play in campaign, and we tend to find that we have nice generations. We have the digitals who are in their 20s. We have the millennials. Then we have the Xers, and we still have a bunch of boomers. So we get a nice. We're just starting to get some alphas, but we find that a lot of these folks, the differences in the way they play can be eclipsed by compelling storyline. And we put a lot of effort into not making rule lawyering the thing that holds you up. I find that a lot of folks who are in our position are extremely absolute in their opinion, and that doesn't serve you anymore. It really is a question of how desperate are you to hold on to a thing that isn't what's relevant to why the story is exciting and fun. And this is, I still struggle. I was thinking about what you were saying, and I still struggle with the term hobby because people ask me that, and I'm like, I don't know that this is my hobby.
No, for me, it's not my hobby. It's my main
passion.
income now. I've been for 10 years.
Yeah,
so
which
I'm
is fabulous.
Yeah. For me, it's a passion.
It's not much of an income, but it is my income, and I've chosen
no.
life. So
and that's exactly it. I think for most people, it doesn't produce an incredible income when it could, and so I've been puzzling and pondering ways to make it more relevant and more compelling. And that's some stuff the three of us have chatted about in the past, and that'll become more apparent at the end of this year.
Yes.
I think some things are changing now for the good, for the better, in the way the game is being considered and applied.
Yeah.
And as long as we can move forward before it jumps the shark, we'll gain a lot of relevance and I think interaction. But for me, the toughest part has been to try and help people understand why absolutes aren't what the game is actually about. And it's the ability of free flow and form that creates this compelling, larger storyline. I love that our folks from VARP, which is the Vermont membership, and they were founded in 78. They look at themselves and call themselves the rookies, and folks who came from so the picture of VARP there, that is my parents' house. That place is called, whereas this is the Keep of the Four Worlds, my father's home was called High Mountain Writers House. So all the people who play up there, that's called High Mountain.
Okay.
And so folks go up there, and we have a wall with everyone's signature. So people who play there get to take paint and paint a handprint or an arm or a face, something reasonable onto that wall. And so it's interesting, the different things that sort of create the opportunity for that. So who knows? There's a lot of groups.
A lot of groups and a lot of history and a lot of accumulation of time. It's grown.
There's
over
9
time.
active guilds right now, merged down from the 16 that there have been over time. And so they get merged into different regions. The largest guild is HARP. That was the college group. There were 50 players, and they would play averaging 16 to 18 members at a session. And we would play on Friday night. We would start after dinner in the cafeteria, and we would play through till about 4 a.m. And so they were all exploring Caverns of Thracia in those days. And so sessions were very large. I'm used to running very large groups, so I am comfortable, because I think one of the struggles people have is that the larger the group, the more glacial it becomes, because many DMs can't keep track of all that information. And it requires, you got to have good pacing, good timing, and that's one of the reasons we survey so much, is to make sure, are we on top of it? Are we paying attention? Are people getting through? Are you getting enough time? And of course, the results of the surveys always give us the same thing. We want more playtime, and it's like, wow, we are squeezing blood from a stone right now with how much time we're punching a year. It's still not enough.
Do you run online games as well, or is it just convention and home games?
No. It's all online.
Okay.
So we have 3 primaries. Zoom is our bread and butter. We still have some fans who are diehard Discord users. So 3 of the campaigns are Discord. The other bulk is by Zoom. And then we have what's called live game sessions, where if I'm in a region of the country where there is a guild, we'll do a live game that they can play. And then the conventions, the 7 conventions I go to annually, we set those up, and I try and get there a day early and stay a day late, so that we can also run sessions there for the members who are local.
That's awesome. Yep.
So whenever you have those boardrooms or wherever you're playing, and I walk in and you're there, and then the entire thing's filled. Are you talking like you average like 12 players on a game?
For Barrier Peaks, it's 8 on the tickets, but it's usually 13. There's 13 characters and they're always taken. At the signature games, all 13 spots are filled.
13.
The Grand Geneva room is the room I use because it's got all the technology. We run Arkham Forge, and so I'm at one end and the architect is the other end. So he's managing all the maps while all the players are making decisions. And because we've got the timing down, the pace moves very quickly.
Right. And they know your style.
Out.
They know your DMing style, so they're ready.
I think so.
Yeah.
A session lasts between 4 and 7 hours.
Right.
There. And I run either 2 or 3 a day. So I start at 8. That's the earliest you can run. I go till noon. Then I go from 1 to 5. I'm booked for a dinner each night. Usually with Luke for people that he's introducing or we're meeting. And then I run the night session, which goes from 7 until the last person can't stand up. And then that's it.
That's awesome.
And then rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then on Friday morning is the Masters meeting when the club opens up, and we vote on everything that the club has that's votable for the year. So the annual in-person meeting, everything is virtual quarterly until we have the club thing where we do it. And since this is Warp's 50th year, we have a couple of very interesting proposals that are being made. And so, because you'll probably be there, you will see.
I'm there every morning. That's part of the love of. I want to see what's going on.
Well, it's interesting because the voting changes who the masters are. It is fascinating to see the different personalities getting absorbed into this. Now we are glacial. Many people who join lament at how hard it is to move the ball forward because there's so many processes in place. It moves at different speeds. So I do feel for people as we gain more popularity, my bandwidth goes down. There are 2 people who are paid to read my email because the volume is so many thousand a day. It's very difficult to be able to answer messages, and I try. But it's high volume of mail between my different businesses, plus the author stuff that's getting up, and then this stuff. So,
Andrew, you've never not gotten back to me, and I really appreciate it. And it's pretty quick, so thank you.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. I won't tell you how that works, but yeah, it's just like, man, that's just wow. I know how busy you are.
I'm usually running around like a chicken. Yeah. I will say, 2 years ago. Was the first time. So I try the rule is I have to stay under 60 hours of activities during that, during 60. The 13 days that I'm present.
That's insane.
And on Sunday morning, Andy Hurd shouts my name. And apparently, literally in mid-sentence, I was falling over like that.
60 hours. My gosh.
Well, no. So this year is only 57, and I've been asked to lower that by 4. So I have the 8 items that are listed, and then there's 3 additional private games. 2 of them are 7 hours, and one of them is 4 hours. And then there's the club pickup game, and that's 4 hours. So it's plus the 22 hours for founders. That just gets me up there. So it's a lot of hours.
Gosh.
But my secret is what you and I talked about. I go through, I think it's around 200 to 300 Ricolas during that.
Right. My
2-week period.
The voice goes every year.
Right.
Every year the voice goes.
Yeah. That's part of the convention. Yeah.
And so the 2 secrets that have kept my voice going are the Ricola ones with the honey center and hot tea. Those 2 things. So I go through 2 containers of honey. And the masters rotate through to bring me hot tea during the session because,
nothing in the tea, just any specific kind of tea, like Earl Grey, whatever.
I'm an Earl Grey guy because I prefer the with either lavender or straight black. But honey is the only thing that can keep it going because
I apologize, I forget her name. The really short woman in the club. She's really nice. I actually got to wear my shirts the one year, and she's always like, where can I could she bring you TJ or something, because you need it. You can't, your voice is never going to make it. So she's been doing that for me. It's like I need it so bad because the voice goes. Because besides the games, you're talking to people, right?
All
You're
the time.
interacting.
You're all the time. Well, and on Saturday night we do the Thrilla in the Villa, which is our club party. And so we invite a bunch of guests. We come back to the villa. I give away things. So we have we elect a player of the year, a master of the year, a volunteer of the year. And so
cool.
I always bring a bunch of stuff I've accumulated over the years so I can unload the different things. I only keep 10 items on my desk, and by tradition, my clients know that if they stump me on a question, I say pick a number between 1 and 10, and then I will send them one of those items that's on my desk. There's a couple things here that don't go, but in general, there's all sorts of things. I keep Jim's Thesaurus. That's the one book I keep on the desk. Because I still use his thesaurus for different words, and now that I'm actually writing fantasy sci-fi books, this first series, as it publishes this year, it'll be rapid release. So every 2 or 3 months, one of the books will come out, and we'll be interested to see if people want to read what I write. Who knows?
I imagine they will.
It's very old stuff. When I was a child, my father used to tell my sisters and I. We each had a story that he told to us as kids. And then on Christmas Eve, we would all get to be in my sister's room, and he would connect our stories for that night. So all three. So one of my sisters had a cloak that made her invisible in shadows, and she was able to move around in anything with the color red or anything with shadows. The other one had a ring that let her summon a bird, and mine was a magical little car. And so he left my story the last time he told it to me as a cliffhanger. And so when my kids were born, I picked up the story from their point of view and continued the story on for their entire life. And everywhere we went on vacation, I would continue that story. And so when I wrote this, the first treatment of it was written from the kids go on a final vacation as young adults in college, and they get to a crummy motel, and they stop for the night, and one of them gets in a fight with the other two and goes out, and dad in the next room is missing, and the car is gone. And where did he go? Well, they go out into the field and find the car, but it's empty and there's drag marks. Well, one of them's ROTC, so they track and go into this culvert, and it brings them into the world, and they discover that this place that they knew about turns out to be what was the translation of their gaming experience. But they've got some weird amalgam of capabilities that they can't quantify, that they're struggling to make sense of, because they played D&D, but they had different characters, and they have sort of memories of some of those characters, but it's mixed up and the powers don't quite work right. And how'd they get here anyway? Is this a real place? Are they not human? Are they this other race? So we'll see what people think.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
I opened up the audience to some more questions here, and Captain Bone asks, what was Andrew's favorite moment with Gary?
That is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Or a highlight, one that you remember, one to say, wow, yeah.
I think the thing I always found amazing, and I struggled with a lot of people about this, was he didn't turn anyone away ever. Right. Gary wanted to game with everybody. If he had time to kill, I mean, literally, he'd be talking to one person, and then a game opportunity would come up. How I met Luke, other than seeing him at his house, I played with Ernie, but as kids, Luke was younger. But how I met him was at the college. Where is the thing? Oh, I can't see it. Rasmussen came up with his tiny little Merle. Yeah. Came up with his little game called Squirm. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was a card game where you were a knight, and you had these triangle-shaped cards, and you were building out this dragon and trying to move around it. And he gave that to Gary and said, "I'd like you to test this out." And Gary gave it to Luke and I to play. And his sister went and got us a hot dog and a drink. And I was like, "This is the miracle of life. There need to be more conventions where you get free food. How does this happen?" But that was the first time I ever played a game with Luke was at that event.
Mhm.
And I always remember how excited Gary was to hear about what you found interesting and important. And everyone was a contributor in the game community. And I struggled with a lot of things I've read and listened to all these years
I know.
as
It's
people
bad.
have made comments. And I'm like, that's not you, as a person who's never met him, that's not the guy.
Right.
You're talking about decisions that were made. Well, let me tell you what the internet was. It was called the library. And so when we were crafting books or reading books, you were getting your material from the library, or you would write away to get material sent to you. My father, when we would go visit the Gygaxes, he gave Gary, as a way to correspond with me, these 10-cent note cards. It's in the day when uh, uh, the postage stamp on a note card was
Right.
built in,
Yep.
and so and that's how we could correspond, and so that was great. And he was always sending fascinating little tidbits or funny thing. He took the time all the time. If I had to think of a memory, it was his courtesy. I was very grateful for that.
Thanks for that question. It was a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So thoughts on Ernie? I know hasn't been that long. It's been about a year. Thoughts on
Did you see him play Tensor and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
I
Yeah.
designed my first spell under his tutelage.
Ooh.
The first spell I ever crafted was based
Yeah.
on apprenticing to Tensor.
Mhm.
And so I always argue with people that Wordna is the only one who worked with two members of the Circle of Eight. And as I built my tower, it was dedicated to the two of them for different processes over time. And both Ernie and Jim explored into the Tower of Ascension, as I had named it at the time, which was funny. Ernie was a very interesting player. Ernie was a cunning player. But Ernie would get very emotional at times, and his dad would go after him, and so sometimes he would get up and leave, and that was very shocking when that would happen.
It must be tough to play with your parents. I can just imagine how tough that must be.
I wonder that. I think one-on-one it was terrific. I think they must have had a great time. But Ernie was very, Ernie was given a lot of jobs. So he, work at the hobby shop, do this, do that, go get me this, go find this, go move that. Hey, go out to the car and get this.
Yeah, he was.
So Ernie was always on the hook.
Yeah.
And Ernie only ever remembered me as the Harper. He never could remember my name to save his life. To this day, though, he said I'm the only person he ever witnessed roll 00 for a fighter's strength. It was for a character in his campaign. He said, every single person who's told it to me, I've never believed it because no one's been able to prove it. You're the only person who's ever rolled it in front of me in all the years that he played.
Wow.
And so I remember that. It was a dual class fighter cleric. I got to third level in cleric. And yeah, it was great. I mean, in the day, it was awesome.
Oh, we still, my game, there's a ton of human dual class characters still. Because
that was a big thing.
Yeah.
Psionics was a big complicated mess. I mean, there were all these AD&D things that I always found really fascinating that have sort of faded away. And so we keep aspects of those, which is very complicated and confusing because some of our members have 30, 40, or 50 years of history. And so as new people are onboarded, they're like, what the rhymes with duck are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
And so each group's 10-year iterative becomes more capable of adding to storyline because it is very hard to talk about living stories that go as long as we've been running campaign.
100%.
And there's a real joy. I love being a fly on the wall when different generational groups or different guilds get together and they are talking about what they're working on.
Yeah.
And Zoom has allowed them all to interconnect. COVID, as horrible of a situation as our
I know.
pandemic was, it onboarded so many of our
Yes.
oldest members, members from WARP, members from VARP, members from HARP, our 3 oldest clubs, members from CARP, our Central and Chicago group. All these people came back, and many of the other family members, wives and kids would say, thank you so much, because you gave my parent or person of significance a thing to do that they looked forward to. And so my wife, well, our son was deployed, she went to live with our daughter-in-law to watch the new baby and help with that. And then COVID hit, and so there she was stuck. And so, we were apart for most of a year. And so I ran games 7 days a week and usually 2 games a day. And so, I started at 4 p.m. and went till midnight. And I did that straight through, and thus, the 1,700-hour mark. And Luke and Ernie said, yeah, there is no machine that can do what you do. There is no one who can go as long as you can, for as much as you can, and provide so much shock and terror as you do. So I always found that sort of humbling to think about.
Yeah.
It is. And just when I think, I'm going to complain about me DMing 4 times at Gary Gygax, it's like, and running a couple seminars, and it's like, I don't know, 25 to 30 hours max, right? And you're doing double that. I can't even, my gosh. It's just
hopefully not. Hopefully it'll be like 50 hours if I cut down a couple. But yeah, it's a lot of time.
Yeah,
it is.
But you find, I am always very grateful that people are interested and excited, and you really want to create that experience, because that has never left. I've never been bored in my life. I've never not been entertained. I will say that sleeping is terrifying. And so waking up after I wake up and looking at what I've written down for the night, that's where a lot of my very dark game stuff comes from. And it's fascinating to read, because if it's printed, I know that I wrote it right-handed. If it's my impossible to read script, I know that the other side of the brain was writing it down. And so they have very different aspects. These notebooks I keep, I have, notebook after notebook after notebook of all the stuff that goes on in those dark places. And that's what I've been grateful. But it's funny, now that we're starting to digitize it, my goal is to AI all of the material I've written and say, summarize all of our surveys. What do people like? What don't they like? Summarize all the storyline and put all the dates out there, so that we can have a Greyhawk equivalent of Oerth's timeline in Mirth, and I can literally see the what, where, and how of the first age, the second age, the third age. How do they all tie in? And so technology is bringing us to a place where those tools will provide very interesting in and out. I'm excited about.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking one thing that, sorry.
Go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, one thing that you hinted at a little bit earlier on with the stories and the published game settings and stuff. I was thinking, meaning most of us, like me, when you've been into Greyhawk for a long time, you realize that there was Gary's personal game setting and his personal campaign, and maybe there was the Castle and Crusade Society, and then there was the published version of Greyhawk that had then altered. But you have an interesting perspective, because you've seen it from the inside and stuff. How was that to then see the Greyhawk setting become a commercial product and being published and stuff? How was
it was frustrating. So games with Gary or with Jim, because Jim ran versions of Greyhawk as well.
Yeah.
Were Wild West. Really bad things were happening all the times, and you watched most people get eaten, and you realize that, or horrible things. Yep. I mean, oh my gosh.
Maybe heard stories that we fall in a pit and you starve to death and stuff like that. Yeah.
Old school Greyhawk is Cobra Kai, no mercy.
Yeah.
I mean, you learned that negotiation was about intention and being in the moment. A lot of people are very distracted, and so they take your eye off the road, the ball, whatever, you're gone. And that was very typical. The published material was a struggle for me, because it didn't feel like the world I had remembered. I had a real fear of some of the titans that existed. Vecna as the whispered one was fascinating. And I loved some of the concepts that came out. Vecna lives and some of the different pieces and, the changes in the Wizards of Eight and Rary the Trader and all that stuff. But none of them reminded me so much. Rogues Gallery as a product.
Oh, I love
that. Was interesting because I was like, there's that guy. And seeing them immortalized in pictures and then with language, that was very aha moment. Some of the Castle Greyhawk stuff that came out was a riot. There were some really funny things that were things that I sort of remembered. But I've never seen a published work of and that's the second printed version. So interesting to see that. With the newer logos and stuff like that. I had a funny conversation, and I can't remember who it was with. Someone was talking about the original posters that came out, and they're like, "Yeah, these were only reduced, with the Wizard logo." I'm like, "No, all the original posters were the Lizard logo because I've got them. Jim Ward gave me sets of those. Here's what the Lizard one looks like." And they're like, "Those don't exist anymore." I'm like, "Yes, they do. I know. I've got them. So other people have them." But early Greyhawk stuff was that's Talbot, the Centaur. See, how sad that I don't know how I remember names like that from 50 years ago, but that's crazy.
And the Lizard Man too, right?
Yep.
Phoebus.
Yeah. Phoebus. Awesome. I guess I really was grateful that the products came out, but the more in-depth they became, the less I understood of their content because it wasn't what I remembered, because exploration in the early days was all verbal. You rarely had enough time to write down historical facts, and that was debated by older people. And so as I became an adult and tried to remember, I remembered incidents, not historical things. I remembered meeting in the tower the elves and the dwarves and what was at stake. I remember going down and coming into the open courtyard where everything was ruined and what the initial castle looked like. And the thing that we found was a well where we would hide our horses that was a secret way in. And I don't know that those maps exist anywhere but in my pile. I built my tower there as a way to fortify and contain that entrance so we could get in without having to pay a toll, and that I could hide our horses so they wouldn't get eaten. So a bunch of things about it from the published content are incredibly detailed, are wonderful to read, and flesh out a lot of things. But a lot of the history is written by winners. The people who survive and sustain and have the money make the details on how things go. But I've never felt that the bulk of the products reflected on the history that I experienced.
No, but you also played Ingrid before it even was, meaning the concept of a game setting was invented.
It was all paper. It was all paper. There was no module.
Exactly. The settings and modules and stuff, the concept that we are so familiar with today was barely even invented back then. That was something that got invented in the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah.
He had a binder. Actually, there were a couple of different binders.
Yeah.
And teleportation always spelled disaster. So you couldn't use it to transport around in the castle. But if you were outside, there was always a chance you would go too high or too low, and that happened all the time.
That was it.
You watch that all the time.
You die inside
a walls,
opposite the dimension door. A lot shorter distance, but yeah. No, that's it's a dead on point there, Andrew. Absolutely.
Well. And there were famous monsters that don't exist anywhere. There were a bunch of different creatures that you would see all the time that I've never seen written. There's no record of them. But if you ask people who play and you talk about the gray man, they'll all nod their head and go, the guy with the knife who was unkillable, who would show up and be pissed off who usually wandered around the first level or in the open courtyard. Yeah, he was an unnegotiable creature. But there's a bunch of people. Gosh, I wonder how many people are left who wandered around Greyhawk and the ruins. I wonder how many people still played from the 70s who remember that. 10,
Well,
20 people? I wonder.
yeah, and it morphed into something different and down the road, and like we did expeditions that Eric Mona did a great job with the 2008 version. It was very linear, but it told a story at least, and it told a story at the end when they lost the license. Paizo Hawk lost the license over back to WotC, and it was like the last publication. I thought it was a good job, but like I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at that, even though, my age then, 1980, I'd be what, you know, start our campaign. I'd be 12 years old, 12, 13 years old at that point.
And it was meaningful then because
Yeah.
these guys were so funny and interesting adults who were very, now I know what it's like to have to tolerate a kid. And so they were all very generous in that.
Yeah.
But as I got older, you became quicker, and junior high and high school play was just unbelievable how much stuff. And at that point I was recruiting and generating huge groups of people to play all over school and everywhere I go. But I went to 3 different high schools, so I never had a situation between high school and colleges where I wasn't generating huge crowds to play games. And I always pitied my roommates who weren't gamers because that was a nightmare for them. All these people who would come down and talk for hours, and I'd be posting experience point charts on the wall. And my roommate, my freshman year, was like, "What the hell is this? Who are all these nightmares? All these people show up at all hours to get dice, to do stuff." And whoa.
Our generation was blessed. We still played
We were lucky.
outside, did sports, did all that stuff. You got in the mud, didn't have to worry about what time coming home, right? You heard there's the dinner bell, at 6 o'clock or whatever. And then that was the beginning of the gaming, and that was the beginning of the computer gaming in the late 80s, early 90s. So we got like
And we
us Gen
screwed up.
X.
There was no
Yeah.
Facebook there was
Well,
no
yeah.
internet to have a memory
Yeah.
forever. So all the dumb stuff
Absolutely.
we did when we were younger, it's forgotten forever, which
Well,
is wonderful. Yeah.
except
Well,
except when your
and
friends bust your
we had latchkey kids. We had lots of kids who came home from school and had no parent there.
Yeah.
And so that was a very different environment with either divorce or death, where parents weren't home. So kids got to make decisions until a parent came home from work. And that allowed for extremely different types of dynamics. Vermont is the last place I know that feels like how we grew up. Until very recently, it was still 4-digit dialing, no touch-tone phones. I live in an area with no cellular connectivity.
Really?
And Vermont is mostly, oh yeah, there's nothing. And so I get it through fiber lines. I have the largest fiber line pretty much other than the Capitol. When they put the 2 gig line in, they're like, "What kind of a business are you?" I'm like, "No, this is for my house." And they're like, "What does that dragon do?" And I'm like, "Well, he breathes water and fire." Our place is crazy. And when we do the landscaping outside, it'll be bananas. So you have the impression being here allows people to come and experience what gaming was. And that I feel there's an importance to that, because the reverence isn't about an application of rules that is required. It's about the flexibility to have information come. The thing I found that Gary was always very clear about, and I don't have a good answer to this, was many people I speak with and spend time with today talk about that D&D is collaborative storytelling. That's a soundbite that is used regularly, and Gary was vehemently opposed to that.
I agree.
And I have always said to people, I am binary. I am input output. I do not exist. I'm not a player in the game. I'm not even there for you to ask. You give me actions and I give you answers and consequences to those actions. But I'm not someone that you can ask questions to. And the game now comes with a lot more input between people. Our club has my horrible rules of you give me these 6 aspects of the character, the name, the class, the race, the handedness, the sex, those things, and I create your history because it's part of the ongoing world. And so lots of newer people, well, in 5e, this, no, yeah, none of that exists. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, the story says, yeah, we don't have any of that because my stories come from 50 years worth of foundational research in the world.
Same
And
here.
that
Yep.
world building
Yep.
and we have many people who are very strong. We have great players. Some of our new people when we actually offered the golden tickets, the 50 opportunities that were offered in 2018, and we onboarded 50 people. They were so used to a very different experience until they played tournament with us, and they went, "Wow, we want to do that again." They're like, "Well, our board just decided to onboard a bunch of people, and we got incredible gamers. Most of our people have at least 40 years in, and so they are prolific, but they just hadn't experienced it the way we do it, which is quote unquote different." So,
well, no two DMs
people like it.
Yeah, no two DMs are alike. For
Ever.
me, when my session 0 tomorrow night, I'm going to let them build by class or by race and a little bit of background, and I'm going to build the character. I'm going to write up the character for them because that's what I always do because it fits in. I want these characters to fit into the campaign setting as it's going on. Because
Indeed.
right? Yes, because
that makes sense.
And from there, you can build great storylines and you could build really fun things that they can interact with. And it's so I agree with you 100%. But that doesn't mean
People
we're not
get
flexible.
excited.
Right.
No, exactly.
Yeah, we're flexible.
It can't be so rigid. We have 2 roll-ups a year, the first Saturday in January and the first Saturday in June. People are allowed to roll basically bank characters. I mean, unfortunately, I have a lot of deaths, and it's high risk, high reward. And I've always found that the game comes with that potential, which has been very short-sighted as of late. There's a lot of get out of jail free, the video game-esque. There's not the same risk level, and so it's not the same game, in my opinion. The understanding of death and what the consequences were to your actions always was important to me. And so that's why people who play with me come out of there going, "What the heck just happened? How did we all die?" And it's not a rebuke, and it's not I'm out to kill characters. It's actions come with the consequences as expected. And sometimes they are disastrous, even if they're not understood. And that's frustrating to a lot of people, but it is the reality of a high risk game.
Sometimes it's bad luck too.
Sometimes it's the dice. Yeah. If you're in a situation where there are random elements, of which the dice are, that is the price you pay for stardom. Is things can go horribly wrong. The age-old question, who would win in a slugfest of Tiamat versus Bahamut? It comes down to the dice.
Yeah.
Because
both of them initiative. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. There is no way that either of them will be standing. They'll run because it's not worth a slug out because the dice will determine it every time. Yep. And it's a one-way door. So that's the way the game is. And if you add that sense of wonder, I mean, if you think about your own life, right? Today's the only day you can guarantee. And yet we don't live that way. We don't act that way. We don't work that way. But if you were so willing as to go out and say, okay, I got to go out and I got to get food and I got to go get money and I got to go get fame and fortune. How am I doing that? You would be puzzling in your own mind. What is it going to take for me to do that? What's interesting with a lot of DMs that I watch is how they ask a lot of questions and there's input coming back and forth where they provide opinion. And I'm like, that's not D&D. That's a different game. Dungeons and Dragons doesn't have opinions. Dungeons and Dragons has consequences to actions that you decide I'm going to try and do. Am I going to lick that outlet? Am I going to go try and pick the pocket from that thing? Am I going to put my hand into the chest that has funny looking teeth on top of it? Okie dokie. And I guess it's because most of the people I played with were the very old guard who gave you swift and unrecoverable consequences. And so I've processed that as my standard. And so a lot of those people softened up over time. I don't know that I did. Maybe I did, but I don't think so.
Well, I think we all change a little bit. Whether yeah,
for sure.
Whether it's for
sure.
whether it's softening up or not, that's another story. As far as I know, we're getting close to time. I told you this would fly by. Can I ask you about?
Oh yeah.
Did you interact with Rob Kuntz at all? Was that
No, not much.
Okay.
Not much. No.
Okay.
There were so many really great guys that I didn't spend a lot of time with. As a kid, my dad would drive to Gary's house.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big enough drive that it was, not as often. And as I got older and got under my own power, then I started interacting with more people. But this is now the early 80s. And, Gary's out on the West Coast. And so, traveling over there to Hollywood House, the Hollywood Hills place. And then suddenly everything has changed. And so then I started seeing him a lot less. It was more correspondence. So yeah, no, I did.
But you kept up contact even when he was out west.
I did. Well, yeah, because I would go out there, and so it was crazy. Yeah, going to the Hollywood House was bananas. It was bananas.
So I got a picture down here. You playing with Vince Vaughn right now. I got that one. I pulled that from your site. So there's a lot of people attend Gary Con that you wouldn't even realize. So
yes. So they play in the signature game. They play once a year.
Yeah.
Vince, I will tell you, is a brilliant player. Mm-hmm. He studies his character sheet extremely. He plays Gamelon, who is a very high level wizard, and he goes through and reviews all the spells and the details for it. So much so that he asks mechanic questions and distance questions. And that group, they play on Friday nights, and they play a really good game. Deaths are hard for them because they're not used to it, there's a lot of feedback that they get that we're treated a certain way, and they've been very kind to me, saying you're pretty much the only DM who gives us no breaks. We play with you because we come out of there, heart thumping. What just happened? And I think that's what people like is that the risk is still there, and that's probably why the spheres of the worlds of mirth are interesting to people, is because risk is still a part of the game, and people lose characters that they really care for if they're not paying attention. That happens every year.
It can, absolutely. All right, Curtis, thank you for coming on. Here's my last question. What is in all these years, is there do characters retire in your campaign, or do they keep on going? Do they have what's the level of retirement? Is it 20th? Is it 16th, 50th? Where does that transcend?
So mechanics for retirement come in two ways. Every year, three things happen with campaign. Do you want to continue in your existing campaign? Do you want to switch to another part of the campaign? Do you want to retire? And retirement. So for people who play in the Barrier Peaks campaign, the active Barrier Peaks campaign, that has the highest turnover out of anything. They go through 16. I mean, they're chewed up like you're putting dollar bills into a vending machine. So that it has massive turnover every year. But some of the other campaigns, when they reach an aha moment or a pinnacle moment or complete a crossover where different aspects of the groups get together, and sometimes it's different versions of the game. When we have the old school gamers crossover with the 5 years, it's a very complicated methodology in how the storyline works, how the magic works between the two. So it's some fascinating, crazy stuff. But we do have people retire. There is heavy debate among the rules committee now for understanding and comprehending how the old school system treats level limitations racially adjusted, high level racial adjustments based on ability scores or magical items, or ranking changes that can happen because of your physicality. We have mostly drummed out things like Cavaliers and Barbarians, which are very difficult to track and maintain. We still have a handful of remnants, old school ones that still play on occasion, but it's not. So every year we list which classes are available for you to choose from. Once you've done your rolling up, you get to look at the class list. And there's also a lot of debate about the complete handbooks. A lot of people love the complete handbooks. A bunch of people despise them. And so every year we have a voting. Now, the voting is very simple. It's give us your opinions, and then, the masters will form a recommendation, and then the board will make a decision on what's going to be used and what's not. And that allows for classes. We don't allow evil characters to be played by PCs because that really derails the main format of the game. And that was a change that we made, wow, I have to say 25 years ago. And it's been a big difference because you find that the intent of game is specific. We have a whole host of people who I gobble up the stuff, and if I grab the piece of treasure, I'm not giving up. We have a bunch of people who say, hey, community, we get together, we all share this and that, and very different. We have people from all over the world who play, and so their style and their experience is unique, and that mix becomes compelling but complicated. Did I answer your question?
You did. You did. Absolutely.
30%er. I could be a 30%er.
No. I'll have to ask this one. Last one. Did you guys start this in Beckme and then go or Holmes Basic and then go to AT&T when it was early on in '78 or?
So OD&D to start.
OD&D. Okay.
Originally just worked with the supplements. And then in '78 got the player's handbook, and hobby stores on the North Shore and in areas I could get to were all places I could get to by train. And so I had to travel by train to get anywhere. I was lucky because I was practicing a form of martial art that required that I take a train. And so I got used to taking the train. I was the only English speaker who went there. They were all Japanese, and I was this little blonde-haired kid, and they would beat the stuffing out of me. But I had to take a train to do that and to bring my gear. And so we had to get a permit, which was kind of goofy in those days. And that allowed me to get to a hobby store on a train that I could buy stuff from. And then in downtown Chicago, oh boy, right on Michigan Avenue, there was a hobby store at the top of Water Tower Place that had all the books. And so my parents decided to spring for the free books, and that, I had physical hard copies.
Yep.
And it was great.
AT&T. Yep. Absolutely. And the last question, Michael Z, who works for Fog God, as he loves he's a Hawaiian shirt guy too. Where's your current
Me
shirt?
too. Me too.
Where'd your shirt come from? The shirt you got.
This is so this is a Gary Con shirt that has a G logo on it somewhere.
Okay, there it is.
Yep. So they've produced 3 Hawaiian shirts. I think I have them all. I also collect Hawaiian shirts. My father-in-law had a home on the Big Island, and so we would spend a month of the year with them in Kona, and we'd spend a month of the year with him at his home on Breckenridge. And so
I love Breckenridge.
it was really good for my kids to have those experiences. Being at private schools, the schools would scream at us and like, well, we're paying you anyway, and the nanny comes and she tutors and does all this stuff, so they're good, doesn't matter. And so in Kona, I got very used to Ren Spooner, which is sort of the really premier, comfortable, true Hawaiian shirt. And so it's just my default shirt. I always wear one, and I figured, well, for this I should at least represent. So I'll throw this on, or the Ren Spooner D&D one. D&D did a print with those guys, but I thought this one was cooler, and threw it on.
Awesome.
What a great discussion. Look, I told you it would fly by, Andrew. It's like we're here.
Oh yeah.
What? Anything you'd like to say in closing? I mean, this was fantastic. Thank you so very much.
I think I talked too much.
No.
That's why we have you on here.
No, not at all.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
As it's our 50th anniversary, you guys are required to play this year. And so you'll have to play and do your first session. At least
really looking forward to it. That will be an honor to play.
So we got to set that after Gary Con. right? So at
Yeah,
some point, yeah.
I think we'll put that together,
Yep.
and you can have anywhere from 8 to 13. The smaller, the leaner. The smaller, the more chance of death. So you have to decide what's your happy point in the middle. And the character sheets, I think you'll really enjoy because they all come with this very interesting history, and they're many, many pages because we have all the spells, all the interconnected stuff, and all of our sheets have a lot of our homemade spells. So
Yep.
people who play in our tournament see spells they've never heard of, and there's the description, and they're reading, going, "What is that? Where did that come from?" I'm like, "Well, our players are required to design these."
That's
So
awesome.
that's a thing I think you guys will have fun with.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
I
I
would
love these
say,
games. Love it.
50 years later, I feel like the game is more relevant than it has been for a while. And the resurgence we're having speaks to people's need to find ways to connect meaningfully. And this is an activity that transcends a lot of the stuff going on in our world today in a good way.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for the community we have, because gamers, while often high drama, are lovely. And I've always been impressed that we attract everyone from your engineers to your advertising people to lawyers to pilots to race car drivers to professional
Actors.
entertainers. I mean, all sorts. We have the actors and the musicians group. We have a best-selling authors group that they play regularly. So all these different groups who are part of the club have really enjoyed the opportunity, and we're grateful for all the people who contribute. I mean, our members put in so much time and provide so much volunteer effort at various conventions. So we're a very lucky group. I have the best job in the world because it's not a job. It's just a way to create adventure.
Yeah.
It's a beloved passion. That's what I always call it. I mean, that's
Yep.
it. You can't call it just a hobby.
No, I've never. It doesn't feel like a hobby, but it's definitely a place.
Yep.
And that's
it used to be a hobby for me, but then after I
No.
moved here, it was no longer a hobby. Now it's more. It's always been a hobby and a passion, but since I started, but now it's become work, passion, hobby, life, all
It's
wrapped
really
up in
hard to
one.
define. Yeah.
Yep.
And right. How do you define a thing that doesn't come with explanations like other things? And
Yep.
I very much enjoy watching people try and explain the aha moment to people who don't play or who aren't connected to it. And they rattle off, and then they start asking you the choose your fate, choose your path, and watching people try and pick paths and figure out where they're going. That's the glory of this. It really is.
It's the way I talk to people is these characters exist in a world, and it's just like you in everyday life. That's what those characters are doing, and we have to bring that to make it a reality in this setting.
And it's amazing when you hear when you hear a group of players who can recite something that happened in a place that don't exist 40 years ago, and they're still like, oh, it's so much fun, because things that happen during game have lasting memories, and it's
still history, and it's in your head, and that's I'm hoping my stories will trigger on people who played early D&D that they'll remember. So what's interesting is with these 3 young adults, as they gain spell capabilities, they discover that 2 of them can read, and 1 of them can no longer read, and it's furious because, wait a minute, how are you reading what those signs say? Well, they're spellcasters, and this person isn't. And it's interesting to watch the mechanics of describing creatures and monsters, and how much fun that is to do, how much we really gain. There's a real power in creating worlds and excitement and entertainment for people. There's a real excitement in that.
Just want to say, and I know the audience is all saying thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you. This was a wonderful discussion.
My privilege.
We will not bore you with all the extra stuff we're going to do now with the giveaway and all this stuff and all the what's coming up. So thank you so very much, Andrew Scott Perry, everyone. The next time I will see him in person will be at GaryCon in about a month. Month and a half?
Not too far. Month and a half.
It was like 6 weeks something.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. There's a lot going on.
Like an avalanche.
Yeah.
Well, and I hope you guys will join us at our 50th party on Saturday night. It starts at 9. And you, of course, are welcome to our guild pizza party on Wednesday, and to sit and play, if you wish, into the guild game that honors Jim Ward that we do every Wednesday night. Because Jim used to run the game, and when he passed, I took over, and now I run his game. His son Breck, who I love to death, gave me the contents of his packed suitcase, literally the last content he created that he brought with him. And so that is what I run, is that storyline that he and I worked on together for a couple of years.
Andrew,
So,
I
fun stuff.
appreciate that invite. I'm definitely going to try and make the Saturday night. It sounds like Wednesday night now. I have that talk show running through that runs. Now I think they want me to host a new event on Wednesday night, I've been told. So
well,
yes,
there's pizza, beer, and soda. Should you want it?
Yeah. So I may be bouncing back and forth. It just because
I'm always in the Geneva Bay boardroom or the club. Those are the two places I habitat. Except for when I do seminar. I do seminar in whatever that seminar room is. So
yeah, well, our seminar's in the nightclub. And in ours this year on Thursday, because they're just running out of room.
Fun.
So, but that's okay.
There is no room, but it is still the best convention put on, with hands down. Gary Con is the cleverest and smartest, and I'm always so grateful to be able to attend, because Luke and Bushra do an amazing job at making people feel welcome, and it feels like what Gen Con was like as a little kid, other than the people dressed in the costumes. I'll tell you, as a 9-year-old kid watching those, crazy. So it's impressive. This is a great job. Thank you so much for including me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so very much.
We'll see you guys soon.
Yep. Have a great night, and safe travel. I know you got a trip going on tomorrow. So best of
and that too.
It's a huge trip.
Well, hopefully it's not luck but skill. So we'll see.
Yes, there you go.
Yes, we need the skill on that. Absolutely. I'm excited for it. So
it'll all go well. Yep. Talk to you guys soon. Cheers.
Yep.
All right, bye. Wow.
Yeah.
Hope you all like that.
Fantastic.
I've been trying to get him on for 3 years. All right. So and he's just the man is
the wait was worth it.
The wait was worth it. And
he's like he's a legend and a machine, and so awesome in so many ways. Yeah.
There is all I can say is the stuff that Anna and I are working on, he's involved with, and so that's all I can say. Big things coming, but we gotta go through the process right now with it. So let me Anna, all right, we're gonna do shout outs, and we're gonna do the giveaway, then we're gonna read into someone. So and talk about, we got lots of stuff coming up this week. So Anna, what do you got going on?
I have 2 posts that will be posted this week, and there will be a sneak peek at the new generation of Greyhawk maps. A sneak peek at them almost done, so to speak. A first glimpse at what the next generation will look like, more like in finished maps will look like. They're not really finished, but they're close. They're close enough that there will be some sneak peeks looking into that. So that will be the new standard, so to speak. Not only concepts or whatever, they're fully textured and stuff like that. So there's just a final edit I haven't done on those areas, but they're good enough that now it's time to show off what it will look like. And also, there will be a first post of banners and flags that I have. It's one of these hobby side projects that I've been working on for years, trying to do. Now I think the problem with it was that I needed to create a bunch of templates so I can then plaster the stuff on top of, so to speak. So that be Chico, he comes and goes. So yeah.
He's out cold.
He comes and goes. Yep. So he was out this morning. He was out having breakfast. He had a burger for breakfast. So on Sundays he had to eat crappy food like the rest of us here. So those, and then streaming on Friday. So so there will be 2 posts, and they're in the making. So they will definitely be out during next week. And I think they will be cool because there will be new stuff that will be leading into the future. So yeah.
All right. So this upcoming week, I stream tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Saturday morning, Sunday night next week. Okay.
Wow.
So
Yep.
tomorrow night is a special session 0. So I got 2 brand new players and 2 now veterans for the game, uh, all creating brand new characters, and it's going to be in that 3rd, 4th level. This is a whole new adventuring group, a special guest group. And the way West Marches style it, there'll be other people floating in and out on this. So Tiffany Rose Nickel, the author, who I had on last week, is in. Mom's the game. That's Amanda. If you were at Page, you know her. She's the queen of the dice goblins. She knows everything there is to know about every piece of dice, and how much it's worth, where it came from, what box set version edition for Menser's Basic. I mean, it's crazy. And then we'll have Myriad at Bella and all new characters. There'll be a session 0. That's tomorrow night at 8:00. It'll also be the first giveaway for our new sponsor, Black Oak Workshop. So I'm going to give away a dice set with a dice bag, probably with the mouth open dice one from Tomb of Horrors. So that will be tomorrow night. That'll be the giveaway. All right. So then we'll have Wednesday night. We'll have Legends and Lore, and we're going to do Leonard Isle. Okay, we're going to go over everything we can know about Lendor. I've pulled out a lot of his old maps and stuff, and we'll go through all 5 adventures he has written, if we can, all the way through the Croton series and stuff that was on Dragon's Foot. So that'll be on Wednesday. Then we'll have a game Thursday. The session 0 group from Monday will be playing Saturday at 11. Okay, 11 to 3, just like this last Saturday. That'll be a brand new group. Who knows what they'll name them? Hopefully, it won't be the worst name in history, just like some of the other ones. And then we'll have Gabbin next Sunday. So busy week. We're gonna keep it cranking. And plus, I'm putting together all the stuff and all the sponsorships and all of the schedules for Abominations Abound, our fundraiser, which is coming up in 3 weekends. So Disorderly Dice is joining us now, and they're going to run Wednesday night. So I'm not going to change the date, but because that's the only time that they can run and fit it. So our normal game on Wednesday night is going to be a fundraiser game, and then we'll have games earlier on Thursday than we've ever had before. Running, we're going to have almost most of the day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, Sunday through the end. So we got a lot of channels participating this year. Look at the list there. Carlos is trying to figure out if he can get in. So I got 1 slot. I'm keeping it open for Carlos at 6 to 10 on Friday. And if he can't, then I got to fill that. But everything else is filled for the most part. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's going to be a busy time going on. Because we got to surpass $32,000. So lots going on. All right.
Yeah.
Just yeah. Let's go. Let's see who wins tonight. Things are going well. All right. So I'm going to say tonight, let's do a Maury Kane's Fantastic Adventure, and either Treasures if you don't have it, or Tomb of Abastor, which is one of the best adventures that Necromancer Games ever made. All right. So 2 of these 3, and if you have these, we'll figure something else out. Okay. You ready? And then, like I said, our first dice giveaway in a long time tomorrow, from our brand new sponsor. And there it is. The logo's on the screen now. Black Oak Workshop, Craig, and he'll be at Gary Con. He was at Page, so we got that all worked out. And they're going to be giving away a lot of stuff for the fundraiser. All righty, here we go. I'm going to set this up. Let's see who wins tonight. Thank you for all the support. Approaching 14,000 followers. That's our goal for the end through February. We'll see if we get there. Ready? Closing this out. Winner tonight is, I got to refresh this to activate the damn button. Here we go. The winner tonight is, wow, they're in Oakland. That is Stephen Danielson.
Yeah.
So Stephen, let me know what you.
Congratulations.
Yes, and he plays. He has a regular. He plays and signs up so much at Gary Con, and during the virtual Grout Con, he has Orist. You've probably seen him play Orist, his Earth Elementalist, who's a college friend of Ravalantar, Ed Greenwood's character. So that fits really well. So I'll get with him and get those, see what he wants. And great to see. What else? Yeah, everyone is a winner. Wow, thanks, man. I hope this was a great discussion. We've had 3 guests in 3 weeks, all of them fantastic. Ed, Tiffany, and Andrew. It's been great. We're just gonna keep it rolling. as we normally do, we'll raid into Darling now, part of our stream team. And from there, Darling will raid back out to someone else. So, I really appreciate your time, everyone. And thank you. What a great show.
Yep.
See you all tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Probably go about an hour because I'm gonna have 2 people who are brand new to Greyhawk, and we're gonna go over some stuff, just like I normally do in a session 0, what the situation is, because I don't know what I'm gonna run yet for them because I don't know the characters yet. So I know Myriad says she's gonna play a halfling of some sort, but she's not sure what kind of. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So yep. All right. Here we go. Hitting the wrong button. Boom. All right. See you all tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
See if I can raid in. Thank you all for the support tonight. It was awesome. Really appreciate it. Great way to kick off February. Alrighty, getting up there. A lot of people already in there in the chat. That's why it's only 71. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.